station. Now this is welders and plasma cutters too?
Yep.
I like that. That plasma cutter looks nice. What's that run for?
That one goes for about 4 and change before the general rebates.
I like this battery station. There's some heavy duty construction ones there, huh? Oh yeah. You get to pick your own spool gun? I like that. TIG. Guys got some new welding helmet designs in. Ooh, that one looks sick. I like it. I like it a lot. New floor jack. This is the aluminum one. That's nice. Yeah, man. Borescopes, thermal imager, tire machine, diagnostic station, AC, compressor.
Environment. I take it by garage. Yeah, probably it's controlled environment. Unless you're doing like stainless or something.
Nah, sure. A little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, the smoke machines, the body gas analyzer, we have the diagnostics, Zeus workstation. That's the epic. Plastic monitor.
Well, happy Cinco de Mayo, La Familia. Cheers to those of you that have your beers. Happy Wednesday. Hope you guys are enjoying the cresting point of your work week. Getting ready to step into Tay-Tay Thursday and then the weekend. So, man, I hope you guys enjoyed that brief little video walk around of the Snap-on Essentials tool truck. Okay, well, they had mostly welders, and then they had the tire balancing machine, and then they had a tire mounting machine. Saw the air compressor. We also saw their diagnostic station, right? It was kind of cool. So this is a different side of Snap-on. So Snap-on, when they have a Snap-on Essentials tool truck, that's mostly like shop equipment, geared and focused. They also have a rock and roll cab, which I'm sure you guys are aware of. You've probably seen my past videos on it. That has a lot to do with like the different service carts, tool boxes, or tool chests that they actually have available. And usually there's somebody specialized on that truck. So with Garrett, he's more specialized on like a franchisee type of truck where you're gonna find most of your hand tools. A lot of the newer guys were asking me, hey, what's up with the new truck? What's going on? From a new technician standpoint, these are trucks that they have never seen before. So it was pretty easy for me to answer actually, but it's nice to be able to give them that kind of information. I was like, hey, look, man, within like a 10-year time frame, I've probably seen the rock and roll cab truck maybe 3 or 4 times in total in a 10-year window. This is the first time I'd ever actually seen the Snap-on Tool Essentials, which is the shop equipment truck, but it was pretty cool to see that. I said, you probably won't see that again for a while. But it's cool because like for those things that you wanted shop equipment wise for like your house or for shop owners, you get an opportunity to play with some of the stuff. So they had the welders set up, they had a welding station set up. The hoods that were on display were not for display use only, those were actually demo hoods. So you were actually able to put them on, not only check out the hood, but check out the welder that they had set up. I thought that was pretty cool, man. Well, obviously you have to be safe and make sure that nobody else is around, but if you wanted to try it out or check it out, they had stuff already set up there if you wanted to. All you have to do is ask. I'm sure I could have asked, but I really didn't care to try out any of the welder stuff. A welder's a welder at the end of the day. Some of them cost more than others. Might have been kind of cool to see what I thought overall as far as how the beater performance was, but really didn't have time to play around, okay? I was in the middle of work. I had jobs to do. This was a quick video clip that I was able to get for you guys of the Snap-on Tool Essentials truck. Hope you guys enjoyed it. As for that little rim in the beginning, right? That is the 6.2 supercharged TRX. Here's a little picture. That thing is sexy, man. My wife wants one so bad. This thing was tricked out, bells, whistles, everything. Plus the moonroof that slid back. I mean, it was nice. Not enough, right? You want to see the engine. I did take one quick little peek at the engine too. Oh, that's sexy. It got that Hemi orange underneath there on the valve covers. Thing's looking good, man. She wants one. I want one. Shit, but that's $100,000, man. That's a 6-figure truck right there. And why not, right? Why not? That is a nice truck. All right. That being said, let's get into today's discussion topic. I have selected myself an apprentice of sorts. Now, we have a few lube techs that are up and coming. One of them just got promoted to that technician phase. So he's doing more and more stuff that's technically based, brakes, tires, some more recalls. He's doing really good, okay? The other two guys, they're running the express lube lane. And I was trying to talk to him about it. I was like, look, man, I mean, they really do want to give you the other jobs because they're kind of, one of them's kind of getting a little bit bored of like some of the oil changes, like the repeat oil changes. I was like, but man, like how much effort have you put forth to doing of your training? He's like, I mean, not really a lot. It's hard for me to want to sit down and go through it and study it. And I said, well, you're really the only one holding yourself back at this point. They want to give you different jobs, but you have to put forth the effort. I was like, you know, it takes, you know, and in my opinion, of course, it takes anywhere between 60 and 90 days to formulate a habit. For some people, they can kickstart it right away, and then it kind of dilutes off. Mine's kind of diluted off a little bit. There are some things that I have to accomplish as a family man on Saturdays that I only have Saturday to do them. And that Saturday was my like given training point area where I allotted myself that day to conduct training. Well, now my wife's work schedule has changed, so I have to accommodate family time with training time. And then I still have, you know, our channel here to operate and run too. Lucky for me, most of the coursework that I needed to get complete, I got complete. And I'm just left with a couple of catch-up little things that are not super critical to what it is that I need to achieve. Most of the things I need to achieve are physical courses or Zoom call courses. So I've kind of reached that area where I'm kind of hanging out in limbo and just trying to time everything, right? But for him, I was like, look, just pick one day or even take 1 hour. Say, hey, look, you know what? When I get home from work, I'm going to spend 1 hour doing at least one course. I'm going to complete that course, and then I'm going to hang out with friends or do whatever it is that I do, you know, because he's a younger guy. Towards the end of the day, I've noticed that a lot of the other guys, they shuffle off and take off, and he's still on the clock. And sometimes there's not a lot for him to do outside of cleaning the shop towards the later half of the day. So for that last hour or 2 hours, depending on how much downtime he has, I'll just tag team the cleaning work with him so I can bring him over to the job that I'm doing to try to show him some of the ins and outs of the other things that he's not able to do yet. Okay, so like today, we're installing a clutch, and then we're going to be installing a transmission into a Dodge Challenger, stuff that he hasn't had to deal with before, right? Because it's mostly just lube oil filters, tires, and inspections. So this is a great learning opportunity for him and a great teaching opportunity for me. And I love teaching, man. I love teaching the younger generation and helping them to bring themselves up, right? So I'm busting out special wheels. I'm like, we're going to try this, we're going to try this, we're doing this, we're popping this out. I had him underneath there using the slide hammer, popping, you know, pilot bearings out, getting ready to set up the clutch, telling him what we got to do for that, telling him, you know, about the putting Loctite on and stuff like that. So I think he's getting a lot of enjoyment out of it, okay? It's a lot of good information for him. It gets him thinking about other things that are ahead of what it is that he's doing, and maybe that might spark some motivation in him to wanting to complete these courses. And every so often, I'll pull the other guys around and I'll tell them a little something like, hey, when you're doing this, because I get asked sometimes when they walk by, hey, like, so what do you got going on? I'm like, well, I'm doing this right now. They're like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'd never seen that part. So what's all involved? And I'm like, well, you know, if you're fixing this wire, you need this tool or whatever. And when you're doing it, you want to do it this way. And then this is marine heat shrink. You know, those little things I kind of teach them along the way as I can. And then it's like, oh, waiter comes in. Okay, well, hey, man, look, go ahead and bang out the waiter. You know, if you have any other questions, we'll get back out to it later or something like that. Or when they bang out the waiter and they're done, sometimes I'll ask them for a quick assist. Like, this guy that I'm apprenticing now, he had a little bit of downtime. I had pulled him over. Him and I were installing seats in the car that I had to run new airlines through and stuff like that. So I'm just slowly but surely kind of bringing him over a little bit more and more, trying to introduce him to different types of work and trying to get him motivated to want to move and progress forward, because that's what it's about. And I think a lot of the mentorship has kind of escaped this industry over the years. I've seen it. I don't feel like I necessarily got my fair shake at mentorship. There were a few little tidbits and tricks that I was taught, but for the most part, it was a hard knocks university. Kind of had to learn on my own and kind of taught myself these things. One of the biggest things that really helped, I guess, make it to where I was more fearless about jobs that I had that got given to me was the fact that I had spent almost 5 years at an independent shop where it was pretty much, we're going to figure it out. It doesn't matter how much time it takes, and there is no special tool room, okay? So when you go into a dealership and that's the first place that you're at, I see a lot of prima donna mentality there. Like they just can't do it unless they have this special tool, or they can't do it without replacing this component. And I learned a different side of that over at the independent shop. I learned how to work without special tools. I learned how to adjust on the fly when certain components came in that didn't quite fit, how to adapt and overcome. A lot of that stuff really did help me, and I try to explain that to some of the guys that have just been at the dealership only, like, hey man, not everything's gonna come in perfect. This stuff is not cast perfect, and you are gonna have to alter and make little tiny tweaks. So I'm able to bring that experience to the table and then help mentor other people around me as a result. There are things that even I still get hung up on, okay? I'm not the bee's knees at doing electrical or diag work, so I'm always communicating between a few different techs that are in the diag field. Hey, I did this, I did that, I did this, I checked this. I'm really not sure what direction to go from here. What are your thoughts? What's the next step? Or have you seen this before? And what do you think the most likely cause is? And they'll come over and we'll check it out together. Sometimes when you're doing certain flash updates, there's a process and you have to almost have two people at a certain point. I had this, it was a small vacuum leak. It was an evap code, but it was a small vacuum leak, and there was a PCM leak verification test. And within a 10-second window, you had to have the vehicle running. It had to reach a certain amount of kPa, and then you had to make sure you turned it off. Well, where I had everything set up, it was one of those things where I really kind of wanted somebody monitoring it so I could do the other side of it. Of course, it had failed, and I think it needed a purge valve or something like that, but it was that test where it was more beneficial to have another set of eyes that was able to go through the buttons, and while I was doing what I needed to do inside the car and making sure I was within that window, because 10 seconds is just not a lot of time. But it's pretty cool to be able to teach somebody now, and I'm getting more and more enjoyment out of it. I really am. The other guys, they're learning a lot too. I've helped them out with some of the tools and things that I don't use anymore that I've already reviewed, and I've given them to them so that way they can help build their arsenal of tools. Every one of them has gotten a little something from me along the way. There are other times too, like when they make a little hiccup or a mistake, which isn't really big deal. I'm able to go over and share some of my expertise and help them out, where it's like, hey man, look, I know it seems like it's a rough day and you feel bad about it. Like I'll cater to their needs a little bit, and I'll be like, I'm gonna get you lunch, because you know what? Food makes me happy. I'm a happy guy, man. I love food, right? I love food like I love my beer, man. And sometimes getting a happy meal just makes everything all worthwhile. You know what I mean? Let me take care of you today so you can just focus on having a good day and try your best to make sure you don't do it again. You know, that kind of thing. We cater to everybody within the shop, you know, between the shop foreman, the service manager, and even the warranty assistance clerk. We'll do meals for everybody, sometimes drinks. I've got another diagnostic buddy across the way. He'll do drinks. He'll go randomly get drinks for everybody, like during lunch and stuff like that. It's just a pretty cool thing, man. That's a different type of like family atmosphere. It's not that super close, tight-knit, independent shop feel, but it's pretty dang close. I would think of it more like a frat house, right? Let's call it that. I would think more of like a frat house. Lots of joking, lots of ragging on each other, things like that. But at the end of the day, we're all still there to complete a job and do a job. I'm not so like push, hours driven so much anymore, because there's been a lot of different warranty things that have come in. And I'm kind of like humble in the fact that I now have a little bit of time where it's okay for me to pie off and help out the express lane guys. And they see that and they know that and they get that. So I don't have to go in the office, you know, every other week and try to explain the lack of production for the day. They see what it is that I'm doing, because the shop foreman is busy enough as it is, okay? He gets asked 100 million questions 100 million times a day, between the writers, the manager, the sales department, other techs. he's got like a million things going on. And right now it gets even a little bit better and more interesting. So I've been trying to take a little bit of the load off of him with helping to take care of whatever questions the express lane needs. But now your boy, covered from head to toe in grease, we back at it in the heavy line. I know, didn't take long, did it? But that's okay. You know, I'm familiar with it. I'm comfortable with it. It's not a big deal to me. And, you know, I do get some enjoyment out of it. We'll say I missed it a little bit, okay? Because I have enjoyed doing some of the diag stuff, but I do miss some of the heavy line stuff. So got tossed on a clutch job, okay? Lost a guy within a couple days. I think it was a couple days ago we lost a guy. And he had already had it out. So guess who gets to go back to a rag full of bolts? So I've got a rag full of bolts and nuts, and I got to try to restab the transmission and the clutch and everything else. But, you know, your boy's been there before. I've done this before. It's all just a bunch of nuts and bolts at the end of the day, and I know that I can get it done. I'm actually pretty close to almost a halfway point, actually. With the last hour of the day, I was able to throw the flywheel on, throw the clutch on. I got the transmission 3/4 of the way stabbed. I'm having some lineup issues, so I've taken a tactical pause until tomorrow morning. I think, so long as everything goes smooth, having a fresh start, I hopefully will have this thing done by lunchtime. I don't figure it taking me any longer than that. Okay, I'm pretty confident we can get that done in a timely manner. But yeah, I brought my apprentice on over during the evening, started showing him some stuff, and you could just tell that, like, that made his day. You know what I mean? From having to do LOFs and multi-points all day to being able to help out with a heavy line job and get to use some pretty cool stuff and learn some pretty cool things as far as something different outside of what his norm is. This is what he's excited about. And getting to do something a little bit different outside of changing oil and doing inspections is always cool, right? So he's enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying teaching, man. I got a pupil now. So it's pretty cool, man. I'm having a kick-ass time at it. That's all I got for this video, guys. Look, thanks again, as always, for watching my channel. We appreciate it. Cheers to those of you that have your beers, and we'll see you next time. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Cheers. Salud. And deuces. Doses.